So I've made a couple of videos in the past about my Panasonic G7, the mirrorless 4K camera that I use to record most of my videos. I've made a video about why it's the greatest camera you can get for this money, and I also made a video about some of the limitations I've run into, given that it is an entry-level camera and I'm trying to use it for more professional work. A lot of people were pointing out that I need to buy a professional camera if I'm going to use professional needs, and why not buy this camera or this camera? You need a RED. If I'm buying a $500 camera, it's most likely obvious that I don't have the budget for that. I am a pretty low budget operation here at Vox Media / my apartment living room where I film most of my videos. And even if I did, I honestly wouldn't go a whole lot further. Like, yeah, if I had buku-doodles of money, big budget money, I probably wouldn't stay specifically with the Panasonic G7. I'd still use them for a variety of different reasons. But I would not be one of those channels buying a RED camera and talking about how amazing it is while showing that I have zero competency to use it, like a lot of these channels do. And it bugs the crap out of me. So to spite everyone, I bought a second Panasonic G7 recently, and it's actually been incredibly useful to have two. My cat just randomly ran down the hallway. Useful tech education and gaming nostalgia that won't put you to sleep. Get subscribed and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next guide. But yes, I bought a second Panasonic G7, and the reasons for this were varied. First of all, I've needed a secondary / backup / just general alternate angle camera for a long time. I've tried using my T3i that I had, and I've recently just sold off. I tried using camcorders, things like that, but the quality difference is so severe that it became really awkward to try to do that. And plus, I do a lot of different shooting, and so I needed cameras I could keep in different places and use for different purposes. And so another G7 seemed like the best and cheapest solution. And I found one on eBay for $350, which was a really good deal. It came with the dummy battery without the actual power cord, just the dummy battery with the coupler there, and no lens, which is fine. I didn't need a lens, I just needed the body. And it already came pre-unlocked with the record for an hour long thing, which I tried to disable as soon as I could, because it started popping up little yellow exclamation points every time I turn it off, and it was set to PAL for some reason, despite the fact the person was in the US. It was weird, but it's been serving me pretty good. So now I have the silver model, and I have the black model, so I also have both of them. Okay, I just went on like a 5-minute explanation of this, and this isn't the place for this. The second reason I needed another G7 was I needed to send mine in for repair. In most of my videos I talked about a quality control issue. A lot of people have issues like I did, where the mode dial or something with it glitches and changes all the time, even with an external recorder. Was a nightmare. I sent it to Panasonic, and it took almost 2 months to get everything sorted, and it sent back to me because they couldn't keep track of my repair, and communication with them was just horrendous. It was a terrible experience. This is why warranties get a bad rep. This is why I don't usually mess with warranties. I just replace stuff because of experiences like this. But in the meantime, I kept trying to shoot with my T3i and hated how things were turning out, and I needed a new camera. And instead of allowing myself to splurge more money I did not honestly have but was so tempted to spend on a GH5 or an A6300 or something, I went to eBay, I found a great deal on a body for $350, and I got it. And I am happy. And I think most people would be happy with a G7 or a GH5. The thing is, cinema cameras are made for cinema. They're made for big camera rigs, they're made for big productions, they're made for a lot of workflows that individual creators honestly can't keep up with and shouldn't be doing. If you've followed, they've been the only ones to be super obvious about their problems with it, but LinusTechTips invested in 2 RED cameras for their studio. They spent so much money, and they invested in a bunch of first-party accessories that they didn't need to do because there is a big third-party market, but they didn't know about it. They invested so much money into 2 cameras that they then have had a nightmare with. Editing the 8K footage has been a nightmare performance-wise. Color grading has been weird. They've had lots of glitches with it. They've had to replace some of the accessories. They've had a lot of problems with it that they wouldn't have had they just gone with for the money they spent on those 2 RED cameras. They could have filled out their entire studio with GH5s or even a smaller full-frame option. They could have got plenty of options that would have met their needs by and far and been totally fine. And that's the same thing with a lot of places. For the money you're spending, you're not getting any good advantage that you would honestly need. Their videos aren't sharp enough to justify shooting in 8K. Like, I even had that conversation with Taran about bitrates. Was some of my G7 videos where I have focus just exactly right and recording to my Ninja Inferno, some of those videos, even after they get pushed up to YouTube, looked sharper than a lot of the A-roll of Linus on the red cameras. That's a problem. For the money you can get for cinema cameras, you could get literally an entire studio full of other cameras. And for, if you have a big set like that, that would be very advantageous. Get a camera for this studio, a camera for this set, 2 different B-roll cameras for people to check out and go shoot B-roll in places. Have cameras set up in places and lenses, because that's a big budget. You can afford all those lenses for that cost. Have everything set up nice and neat. You don't have to touch it, don't have to move cameras back and forth, reduce the risk of mistakes, and be a lot better off. And so that will be my goal. Now, granted, if a camera rental place or something wants to reach out and let me use an Arri Alexa or Alexa Mini or a Red or something like that, or I get like an absurd deal on one of the smaller end Reds, like a Red Raven or something, I'm going to try it out at least. But when it comes to spending my money on purchases, I would much rather buy a GH5 or 2 GH5s and put some money into advertising or paying people or something like that than buying cameras that are quite literally overkill. Like there's a line of, there's no such thing as overkill because I'm using it, and then there's a line of, you literally don't know how to use it, you can't figure out how to use it, and you'll never use it to that potential period because that's just not how it works, and there's so much more potential you could have gotten over here that something eventually does count as overkill. Aspiring YouTubers, content creators, even filmmakers out there, please don't buy Reds if you aren't planning on working big budgets, especially for that price. Like, don't fall for this. I feel like the Red cameras at this point are the new Beats by Dre or whatever, you know, not fashion, but like trendy product marketing that people are going for just because that's what all the cool people are doing. And even MKBHD, who like started this trend, said no one should do this. Granted, he said no one should do this while doing it and whatever, but like, ugh. So yeah, I bought a second G7. The G7 is a great freaking camera. There's a lot of limitations due to it being entry level, but I am using it. I have, this one is my main move around, shoot A-roll and B-roll camera, and currently my second one is mounted up above that monitor right there as a webcam. I got a little SD card extender I'll be doing a video on, and I can record right there, or I can run it to a capture card for live streams and things like that. It is great having backups, and I could do that because I didn't spend my budget for these cameras, and I got a nice new set of Rokinon Cine DS lenses. All of that budget would have bought the body for a GH5, which I do want. I will at some point get a GH5, but in the short run, this made way more sense, especially since I'm buying it piece by piece, and I think the same could apply to other people. Otherwise, this probably just sounded like a weird ramble, but I have found that some of these videos, they would have been helpful for me as a content creator, and I feel like they would be helpful to others who are looking for a little bit of guidance on camera choices and things like that. I'm EposVox, here to make tech hopefully easier and more fun. If you enjoyed this video, do hit the like button. Share your thoughts with me in the comments down below. Would you buy a Red if you were paying for it out of wallet, like versus buying a bunch of other cameras? Would you really? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you in the next one.
This video is sponsored by viewers like you. Our videos would not be possible without the generosity of those of you who contribute to one of our fan funding options, be it donor box, Twitch subscriptions, direct contributions via PayPal, or Patreon. To join our inner circle and get behind the scenes looks at videos, go to eposvox.com/support to learn more, and join us on Discord at eposvox.com/discord. Thanks.